on there. And then the total length of it is 14.5 inches. So we're holding that on there like that, and we're going to get a number plate, a conventional British number plate. Have you got one? Yeah, I haven't got one. But don't worry, don't worry. I'm going to guess the number plate. Number plate is, I think it's about 5 inches. 5 inches. Like so. And we know then that that has got to go on that bar there. Fasten it there like that. So what happens now is that if the round bar is 22 mil, we multiply 22 by 3 1/7, do we? Is that right, lads? 3 1/7 multiplied by 22 mil.
Just do it by 3 and then your gap's going to be nice, isn't it?
Do it by 3, so it's 22, so it's 66 mil. So what we're saying is we're marking that at 66 mil, like that. And now we're going to bend that at just under 90. We'll bend that over like that. We take it out again, we come up to the other mark like that again, making sure it's square. And we do that again like that. And what happens now, we go back to the car and place that on there, watching carefully, and all we do is bend that around the bar like so. If you could bring that thing back again that we've just had, that folder. Thank you. And that goes back on there like that. And we can put that on there. And then just squeeze that up with a G-cramp or a vice grip, pull it tight, and then we'll put 2 screws in it to stop it, to pull it up tight like a little clip. Put the number plate on the top, the number plate on there, and then we've got a real neat number plate light holder. So at this stage we'll leave it off till we get to the end of the build, because it's only going to get in the way for when these lads are doing that job there. These lads have got these brackets fitting great. There's a nice equal gap front and the back, and there's plenty clearance because we've got our wheels on. If you'd fitted the standard Ford Seal wheels, then they would have been close up to the brackets, as the wheels might be that you buy from Halfords. So we now come to fit these wings, and all that happens is that this wing will just cover a 205 tyre. This is a standard wing, it's an 8-inch wing, it just covers that 205 tyre for the SVA test. If you wanted to be dead certain, you would move it over slightly to the outside rather than the inside, because there isn't a need for it to cover the inside of the tyre but only the outside. But if these lads fit this pretty square on, by the time the snap-on beading goes over the side, it will cover the wing. All that needs to be done, we need to take a little bite out the corner of the wing, just here, like that, and like that, so that the wings go over the bracket like that, they sit flush.
A bit more out of one, maybe. So we can see that we tried it on, and we need a little bit more out to the front there. The black marker. Cut a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more out there. And put a little bit more out just at the back there. Maybe I'll just file that a little bit out, or just to make a neater job on it, let's say.
The bites have been taken out of the wing now, as you can see, to accommodate the bracket, and we pop that on there, and we can see that it's quite a good fit, and we spy down above it, and we can see that it just covers the tyre nicely, perfectly in fact. By the time that snap-on trim's gone around there, it'll be 100%. What happens now is pretty straightforward. We feel underneath here where the wing finishes, the bracket finishes, and it finishes round about there. So we know that we want to put some fixing screws in the wing, thank you, and we know ideally we'd like one there and one there to make it look cosmetically right. So we can see the kind of position that we want the screws. So we go like that, we mark that there and that like that. What happens now is we get the electric drill with a 3mm drill or 4mm drill, and dead on 90 degrees to the tyre we drill a hole through the tube as square as we can, like that and like that, and the same at this end, like that and like that. 3mm drill. Then when we've done it with the 3mm drill, we're careful because the drill does wander, and you could get it centre pop by somebody holding something solid under the end centre pop it. So we're drilling square on there and there, the same there, and in fact if you look at the tread on the tyre, that will give you some idea to line it up. Then when we've drilled the 3mm and the 4mm hole, then we drill a 6mm hole. With the 6mm hole drilled, we then take the wheel off, we jack the car up, put it on stands, take the wheel off, and then we put the wing back on, like that. Now we'd already marked, just there, in the perfect position of the wing, so it covers the tyre. We'd already marked that like that. So without the wheel on, we put the wing back on. And then with the drill, again with the 6mm bit in it, from underneath we drill through the bracket, gently with your co-partner holding the wing like that, you drill through the bracket and then through the wing. And then that gives you the fixing holes to put the 5mm roofing bolts through the wing and through the bracket. Obviously, what happens is other things. We need to put some silicone sealer underneath the wing, and we need to do it so that the wing can be detachable. So what will happen on the underneath of the wing, we'll put lots of masking tape, and then when we've tried this on dry with the nuts and bolts on it, the roofing bolts dry, we know it fits, and we take it off. We put lots of silicone sealer underneath the wing, obviously on top of the masking tape, and then we push make sure it's a cheap silicone sealer, not the expensive stuff. We push that on there like that and put the 2 roofing bolts in, back in, only finger tight, and that will squeeze the silicone sealer out, so the wing is sitting on a bed of almost like rubber. And we're not over tightening these bolts, because we often see these wings fastened on and they're over tightened and all the gel coat's cracked. So we just tighten them up, but just finger tight. Then eventually we'll put a locking nut on it. What we've got to be careful is that when we do drill through from underneath, we don't burst through and smash all the gel coat. And the other thing is that when we've drilled the holes, we've got to make sure there's something like in a straight line together, so that they match up, so that you haven't got one there and one there and looks wrong. We've got to be in a line together like that. So that might take a little bit of doing, and it may be that you've got to just move this bracket. They haven't quite tightened those up yet, so you might have to make sure that this bracket is square onto the tyre in order so that it cosmetically looks right. The other thing is that it's not impossible that these wings aren't square to start with. So you may have to square up there, you might have to hold the wing like that and with some sandpaper sand it off to be square. You may also have to look at the wing that way, and you might have to choose the best end of the wing to put to the front. So if there's a wing that's an end that's better than the other, make sure that that goes to the front and not to the back. So on that note, we'll leave the lads to carry on and do that. I hope you follow that. It is all common sense. And we're going to move now rapidly on to the rear wings. You know now that this panel here is the rear wing panel. Plastic on that side. Make sure the floor's clear. Pop it down there like that. You need to take, these panels aren't punched out, they're cut with a profile cutter, and the profile cutter does leave a pretty horrible amount of debris on the back, but it soon knocks off. So you need to just to take all the debris, the loose burnt aluminium off the back. We also need to bond the plastic edge onto this wing. So down the outside edge, we're going to sand that so we rough it up. I've got a sander here that's a professional type sander. I don't expect you to have that at home, but you'll have a Black & Decker drill with a small 5-inch soft pad sander that you can use. Or you could just use sandpaper or a file, or probably a mini grinder with a solid disc to a bit rough. So I'm just going to sand this, and while I'm sanding this, I'm also going to sand 3 pieces for the windscreen, just while I'm at it. So the camera will record this, and you'll see that's the windscreen. There's 3 pieces, there they are. I'm just going to sand these as well while I'm on the floor like this. What I would say, you really have to be careful with these soft sanders, because if you don't keep them very flat or you're not used to using them, it's very easy for them to catch, to snag on it and on the edge of the metal. Remember with this sanding, regardless of what you're using, make sure all your clothes are all tucked in, your overalls are fastened up, you haven't got any ties, scarves, long hair, medallions, bracelets, necklaces in the way. You'll notice I'm just putting these down willy-nilly. Don't do that, make sure that you put them out of the way. If you don't put them flat on the surface, they'll easily get bent. So we'll put these away somewhere really safe, where the kids can't bend them. We need to get the edges filed with a file to make them nice and smooth. And then you could really start to peel the horrible plastic off the back that's got burnt. So that's something that you can do, give it to your wife to do while she's sitting watching telly at night. We come back to the wing, and we lay it back on a flat surface, clear the surface, make sure there isn't any debris on it, and we need to get a roll of masking tape and put the masking tape all the way along so it just comes to the end of all the bottoms of the V's. So the bottoms of the V's, it just needs to touch the bottoms like that. What happens then is while it's flat, we need to drill a hole in each one of these little plant pots. So each one of these we need to drill it with probably a 6mm drill, or a 5mm drill would be better. So we're going to go down there now, drill every one.
Okay.
You'll notice we've drilled the holes. You'll notice that one end of the wing is more angled than the other. The lesser of the two angles is the rear. So we need to bend that at 90 degrees. So we need to put it with the plastic down, and we need to put it with really good. When you put the plastic down, we need to put it. We need to put it with the plastic up. The plastic up. So we can actually say we need the amount of material from the end up to the first plant pot, which is 7/8 of an inch. We need it parallel, and you could see at the other end here there's a change in direction. So that needs to go there. We need to bend that at 90 degrees. So we've got this little bit of chipboard here, which is alright, it could be better. We put that on top, and we could do a clamp to clamp it on onto the bench like that. I'm afraid we haven't got a clamp big enough. Oh, we have, sorry, we've got one here. Yes, we have. So we're going to put that clamp just there like that, wind that down. And then at the other end, we could do with another clamp, that we haven't got one, a bigger one that would go onto the bench. We haven't got one, which is unfortunate. So you just slide that sheet. Oh, that's perfect. Oh, what a team, eh? So we can get two on now. So with things like this that's on the outside of the body, it really is worth spending a bit more time on to get it set up correctly. And with that, over the end of the bench, just another half a turn to tighten it, half turn there, half turn there. And with that over the end of the bench, with a block of wood like that, we'll just gently tap that. To give you a 90-degree bend like that. So that's quite reasonable. I think if we'd used a strip of metal on top and perhaps used a corner of a metal bench, it would have been better. That gives you a 90-degree bend to it. So with that like that, bent up, need a file or an old sanding disc that I've got here, just to run along that edge. Remember, we don't want to damage the top surface, because at this stage we're not planning on painting this car, so we're trying to make it spot on. What happens now is we have to bend up each one of those plant pots, and we need to bend them at exactly 90 degrees, and we need to bend them square onto that line. So we're taking an ordinary pair of what you know as combination pliers, and just to make a little bit better job of it, we have welded some wider jaws on hope we can see that now. We can weld a wider jaws on, and the width of the jaws is the exact width of each one of those plant pot bases, because we need to bend them up. Now, if you can do a reasonable job with just ordinary pliers, but if you do that, it makes it even better. So what happens now is that with that, just turn this board round, because that's got the tongue in it, that side. So we turn that like that, and we'll just put that on there like that. Oh, look at that. Can you imagine the damage that would have done, that nail sticking up there like that, eh? Oh, it's disastrous. That should have never been used. That could have absolutely ruined that wing. We've been on the phone saying, can we send you another wing? Well, unfortunately, we do our best, but these are very difficult to send in the post. So try not to damage these wings. So with that cantilever off the side, we can start from the middle, and we're bending them up at 90. So you can see, again, the next one like that. Quite an enjoyable job. You can't go wrong with that. We're going all the way along there like that.
We now come to the first few procedures in fitting the wheel arch, and as explained to you earlier, we've got the two tubes that we've cut off of the whole section. There was 4 of those, so we've cut them all down now and we've got them set. So what you need to do now is you come with your first tube here, and if you can see that one, what I'm doing is I'm holding it perfectly parallel with the wheel there, and you're also going to pull the tube out slightly on your bar here, and we think that as a rough guide we're just going to use a measurement of 2-finger width off the tyre there, which is going to be roughly, I should say, about probably 1.5 inches off the wheel. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a marker, and we're going to mark onto the bar there. Yeah, ankle, back and go just a bit. So we're going to put a mark on the bar, and you're going to do the same with the bottom bar. You're going to have a width of 2-finger widths, and also you want to be, when you come to put it on, you need to make sure that's parallel. So we're going to put a mark there on that bar as well. You may find that to get the bars, sorry, the tube, I keep saying bar, but it is tube, to get the tube at the same angle as your wheel, your tyre, you may just have to tap the bar around a little, just adjust it, and what you'll do is you'll take your soft mallet, just put it on the floor, maybe tap it in or tap it out until when you put your bar on, it's running parallel this way to your tyre. Once you're happy with that, then you come to do this procedure. So we've got those 2 marks on the bar. So what we're going to do, we're going to measure that.
It's 90 mil.
That's 90 millimetres in.
So we've got 25 in from the end, and then it's 75.
So we've got those 2. And we know that it's going to sit 90 millimetres onto the bar, so we're going to come in 25 millimetres from the end there, and we're also going to come, say, 75 millimetres there. So that's going to, you're going to have roughly about 15 millimetres of bar left. So you can slot that on then. And Michael's going to hold it parallel with the wheel and the ground, and then you can put marks on right on the top there like that,
Just on the weld line.
which just falls on the weld line. Obviously yours may not, so you do need that mark. And then we've also mark 2 indicator marks on, 25mm in, 75mm in, because I can see that's around about the same sort of measurement. And we're going to slot that on. The same procedure, make sure you're holding your bar exactly parallel and level, which it is, I can see. We're going to put 2 marks there again. Yeah, you can see that's nice parallel line, is it? Yeah, which that's all looking good, everything's on the top. So then you can take your tubes off. And we're just going to drill through with a small drill, 3.5mm drill. So we just drilled through the top of his tube at this stage, we haven't gone through the bottom. So what we know is then slide it back on. You may just have to run a ram file in there, just take the bears off to get it back onto your bar. Well, that's gone on. So while Michael's holding that perfectly square, and we've got the distance that we need off the wheel, I think he's coming and tag. So once you're happy that you've got it in the right position, and then take your small drill, 3.5mm. I think 3.5mm would be right if you're going to use the small self-tapping screws that we're going to use. So you're just going to drill into your bar, keep your drill nice and level both ways. Quite handy here because we bought a drill with a little spirit level bubble in there, as you can see, so that's a good So at this stage I've actually drilled all the way through that bar. This will allow you any kerf that you get and little bits that might block your hole up while you're screwing in your self-tapper to fall out the bottom of the hole. So you can just get the screwdriver, yeah, and put a self-tapper in there. It may be very tight to get it in, obviously it's a good idea, you need this to be quite tight. If you find it blocks off, then what you need to do is either put in your drill and just waggle it around a little bit, try not to snap your drill, don't be too mad with that. But that's going to hold it in position there, we can see. So we can drill another hole. Right. So we're going to do the exact same procedure with these two holes here. So that's holding that quite tight. So So obviously you're going to drill the same hole there. We're not going to do that just for speed and for showing you how to do this job. So we've got a nice gap, we've got everything's level with the tyre, we've drilled through. Obviously when you're drilling through, you're going to keep your drill at 90 degrees to your tube. So you're going to drill like that, and then not 90 degrees like that, you're going to drill slightly off. And when you screw it in, this will keep your screws nice and level and all flush with the top of your tube. At a later stage, when we've completed everything and we know that everything's going to be okay, we've put as GRP on and everything, you may want to remove these screws one at a time and drill through with a larger drill and maybe put 5mm nuts and bolts in, or whatever you require, or you may even feel that you want to weld it on, as we've been said earlier. But we're just going to put these screws in. It is easy to take these out again, because obviously, as you can see, we haven't sprayed these. We're going to take them off again and spray them at a later date. So we've come with this GRP, we've checked both of his edges, and we've decided that this front edge here is going to be the best edge to go to the front. It's nice and straight. So we're going to place that on there. What you're going to do, you're going to spy down your wheel, keep yourself right on top of the wheel like that, and you want to make sure that you've got it right in the middle of the wheel. And as you can probably see, that's quite high off the wheel there. Michael's quite happy with that. He's decided he wants his GRP to be higher, but we are going to have to cut out slightly, so this will go a little bit lower, but it still will be quite high off the wheel. Now if you at home decide that you want to perhaps make it lower and you want it to hug the wheel, then what you need to do is to lower the bar at the tube in here and maybe push that tube a little bit closer to the wheel, and this will allow you to drop your GRP slightly lower, and you can get that really hugging the wheel if you wish, but that's entirely up to you. So we're going to leave that. We're going to decide that this is okay, so we've got it. So we're going to have to, as you can see, we're going to have to cut a little snick out of there. Maybe go forward and think of that. Yeah. And we're going to have to also cut a little snick out at the bottom here. So